This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There, Scotty. Good morning, actually. How you doing, my friend? You doing good?
I'm doing great. Yeah, you're going to have to sell for me today. It's a downgrade from Barron's, but I'll do my best.
We all want to be Andy Barron's when we grow up, right? Isn't that the truth?
That guy's ridiculous. You know, we would meet for Yahoo meetings, and we would go out to dinner and have a couple of adult beverages, and everybody would wake up the next day a little worse for wear, except for Andy, who would go out and run like 6 miles. I mean, that guy, and you know what? He's the nicest guy in the world, too. I can't imagine anybody meeting him and not liking Andy Barron. Just a super dude.
God, man, Andy's money, bro. God, he's awesome. I mean, ever since I got to know you guys, I don't know, how long have we been doing this shit now? 7, 8 years or some shit?
Feels like a decade to me. Yeah, sure.
It's pretty close to it because we were on 640 Sports when we first started all that stuff, and then I went to QAM, and then now obviously doing this. So it's been a while, and it's been nothing but a pure class. You and Andy, so it's been a good thing, and I appreciate your friendship because what people don't realize is first couple of years you guys would come on every week on the house, and I fought to get you guys sponsors at QAM, and I finally got the cheap bastards to do something. And then obviously when I'm doing this platform, I want all the media people to get paid. You know what I mean? That's the way I want it to be done, because that's the only way it should be done, because everybody abuses, and they want to ask you for interviews and all that. But I appreciate it that first couple of years you guys would come on throughout the football season, and not for just pure friendship, and I appreciate that, bro.
You're very welcome. It goes two ways. You've been really good to us, and really life just comes down to your health, your friends, and your experiences. Everything else is just trivia. It doesn't matter how what kind of car you drive or clothes you wear or whatever. It's all about your friends and experiences, and you got your health, and that's and as you get older, you start learning. Right, there are people who are worth keeping in your life and people who are worth not keeping in your life. And you got to shut the toxicity out and just focus on the good people. And I think that speaks to why we've all been doing this together so long, is because there's a friendship there and there's a loyalty there, and that as you get older, you realize how important that is.
Damn right, bro. All right, so let's bounce around the league a little bit there. For fantasy fans, should they be concerned about Saquon Barkley? Because he doesn't want to sign the tender. And in a way, it's good for fantasy fans. They may own him because he doesn't risk injury in the offseason doing bullshit stuff. So that's good. But does it linger into training camp? Does this become a problem? And then all of a sudden, does it become a holdout? Do you not have Saquon Barkley on your team? So what do you tell fantasy fans out there how to handle this? And what do you tell Giants fans about that situation?
Well, I'd be really surprised if he held out any length of time. Other than Le'Veon Bell, most players are just too smart to hold out because they know that your clock is ticking, especially at running back, right? Their careers are so short. They don't have a year to waste. I don't know, again, who got in Le'Veon Bell's ear. Maybe he just listened to his own ideas, but he wasted an age 28 season, which is a huge mistake. And then he came back and he was never the same, because you just you have such a small window to do what you can do to earn what you can earn that you can't throw it away. So I'm not worried about Barkley not playing. What I am worried about is just the age. Once these running backs, the thing with running back windows is that it's never as open as long as you think, right? You think these guys are going to be great forever. And I know there are exceptions. Some guys age gracefully. Curtis Martin aged gracefully, and Frank Gore aged gracefully. And Adrian Peterson came back from an ACL blowout and had a great season, had an MVP season. And those are the outliers. Most guys, by the time they get to the second contract, they're compromised. And then all of a sudden, oh, wow, Shady McCoy's not good anymore. I think Dalvin Cook's really close to being not good anymore. The late 20s now. It used to be 30 was the death blow. The talent comes into the league younger now. And what I say a lot is it's not fun to play fantasy football or fantasy sports in general, but really fantasy football as an actuary, to be all driven by age and arcs and models and everything. But it's a smart way to do it. Once a running back gets on a second contract, I tread very carefully. I will tread very carefully with Saquon Barkley.
I think most NFL teams shouldn't be giving second contracts to running backs. In other words, I think running backs have gotten to the point where they're one contracts unless they're so special that he's worthy of a second contract. But man, because you're now at a point where you're not really drafting them that high anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So very few are drafted high. So now that you're drafting them in the middle to late rounds, using them up for a contract and then getting rid of them, it's not a bad thing anymore. Or keeping them around for an extra year and just tag them, because now the tag number also has gone down too at the same time. So yeah, it's kind of weird how only a few running backs are worthy really of a second contract.
For sure. And again, I realize these guys are human beings, and I don't mean to treat them like commodities or Lego pieces or something, but teams have realized that the draft capital has changed now, right? I mean, we have a running back prospect who's one of the most exciting in years, and people talk about, well, how late in the first round is he going to go? In the old days, he would have been a top 5 pick. People would have been like debating, should we take John Richardson number 1? I mean, it's not going to happen. Robinson number 1. Not going to happen anymore, because teams have realized they can fill the position inexpensively, and they can fill the position with a platoon, and guys do different things well, and they share the workload, and that's become the model now, right? Yeah, look at Kansas City and Philadelphia just played the Super Bowl. Philadelphia let Miles Sanders walk. They replaced him with Rashad Penny. They thought it made more sense financially. The Chiefs made the big mistake of taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, and there's nothing special about him. They have different guys. They've learned now that you can approach the position inexpensively.
What was Pacheco, 6th or 7th round or some shit like that?
7th round, right? I was trying to think of Pacheco's name. Yeah, why they gave him Tyreek Hill's number? It's just not right. I mean, let Tyreek Hill's Kansas City career breathe for a moment. And nobody, you guys know this as well as anybody. I mean, Tyreek Hill's he's a unicorn. He is one of one. He is one of those guys that every time he's on the field, doesn't matter. Tyreek Hill has some games where he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he influences the game because every play. Randy Moss was the guy who changed the rules, right? Randy Moss was the guy who, what is defense now? It's not allowing an 80-yard touchdown to Randy Moss on every play. And that's what Tyreek Hill does. Deshaun Jackson was a little bit like that, although not anywhere near the level of a Moss or a Hill, who are both, Moss is a Hall of Famer, and I think Hill's going there too, no matter how much longer he plays. And that's a story that's kind of silly. But Tyreek Hill, they give Pacheco's number to Tyreek Hill. Good luck. Try to be Tyreek Hill. There's only one of those guys. He doesn't play here anymore.
All right. So Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham. Couple questions here for you. 1, over and under 7 touchdowns this season. 2, how do you handle this as a fantasy player when you look at Odell Beckham? He is so unreliable because he does break down. Lamar Jackson still has not signed his tender, and he doesn't have a long-term contract in place. And I don't know if we're going to actually have a holdout or not here. So how should fantasy fans look at that? And again, over and under 7 touchdowns, Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham.
Easy under for me. I have an expression that once the cheese goes bad, don't bet on the cheese going good again. And I just think the cheese has gone bad with Beckham, between injuries, between motivations. He's got kind of a mercurial personality. It's been so long since he's been a dynamic player. And look, there are some people, I'll admit, I could not do this. Okay. If I was in a position to earn all sorts of money as an athlete, as a commodity, as a writer, I would need somebody to handle the legal part of it. I would need somebody to haggle with the people to try to get the money that I felt I was earned. Lamar Jackson needs an agent. I think Lamar Jackson's getting some really bad advice from Lamar Jackson. And again, there are some people, I know Larry Tunsil has been his own agent. He's gotten paid. Some people can handle it. Some people can compartmentalize it. Some guys don't take it personally. I don't think Jackson's that guy.
Yeah, but QB contract is so much more complicated than an offensive.
That's a great point.
And that to me is the problem, because he's going off of his initial contract and then what somebody else is getting paid at tackle, and then he can just kind of go by that number. And I'm sure he's actually screwing himself one way or another with some kind of incentives that he doesn't realize.
Oh, for sure. And here's the other thing too, Lamar. If you announce, I think I need representation, you're going to get an offer from every major agent, and you can take the lowest price if you want. You don't have to give up that much money. People will line up to represent you because they realize how much you're worth. Let somebody else do the dirty work. You'll sleep so much better at night. And you know what? And here's the thing. What you pay your agent is going to be couch money. You won't even miss it. It will not in any way affect the life you want to lead, whatever you want to do. It's that line from Wall Street. How many motorboats can you water ski behind?
This tells me Lamar Jackson sucks at tipping. Seriously. Like, how cheap can you be that you're not willing to give up 1% to an agent who's going to do and actually put together the most important contract of your entire life? Why would you not allow a professional who is built to do this, who is proven to do this? Because, like you just said, when you say you need, services, the best of the best are going to line up and say, we would love to represent you. And these are proven people, bro, whether it's CAA or Rosenhaus or Tom Condon or whatever. All these people, Lee Steinberg, these are all people shit for 20, 30 years, bro. What's wrong with you? And if you're that cheap, I wonder how cheap are you with other things too at the same time, because it's so ridiculous that you would be that cheap to do this. That's how silly this is.
Yeah, maybe he's just misguided. Just some things just aren't worth it to me. Like, as I got older, I thought, I hate shoveling snow, so I have somebody do it. I have somebody do my lawn care now. It's not worth it to me. The guy's affordable. I like him. I'm done pushing a lawnmower. Those days are over.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. My wife said, "Oh, we got to fix this." Okay, I'll call somebody.
Sure.
Well, did you try? No, because that's not what I do. It's not who I am. I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to make it worse. That's not who I am.
Yeah, I fix fantasy rosters. I don't fix something broken in the kitchen. I'm not a plumber. I'm never going to be a plumber. I accept it. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And fixing things around the house, not my skill set.
Yeah, and I'm not the dude that's going to try to start learning and become Mr. Tools now all of a sudden. No, bro, that's not who I am. I'm going to make it worse. So let me go get a professional that does this for a living.
For sure.
You them to actually do it. It really baffles me. So fantasy players, how are you handling the Lamar Jackson thing now? One for a keeper league, and two for draft wise. How should they be viewing this Lamar Jackson situation?
I'm concerned about it. I mean, I realize it's to some degree apples and oranges, but look how poorly Deshaun Watson played after a holdout, after a long time away. Players need reps. Players need to be, certain parts of the game need to be exercised. That need to be sharp, and all he's doing right now is haggling and not playing, and all this bad water. And, then they will give you permission to seek out a trade, but then how much are they going to have to give up? That's all a sham. Because what team is going to say, okay, we'll give you the world, and then we'll have to give the world to Baltimore? I mean, look at the silly standoff with the Jets and the Packers, right? The Packers need to be out of the Aaron Rodgers business. The Jets badly need a quarterback. We know Zach Wilson's not the guy. We know Mike White's not the guy. And they can't get a deal done. I almost wish that nothing gets done. It's like, you know what? Both of you be spiteful. So Aaron Rodgers don't play, and the Packers don't get anything for him, and the Jets, enjoy Zach Wilson, enjoy wasting one of the best rosters in the NFL because you can't get it done. It's just, fine. Everybody be unhappy.
But by the way, Jets are still holding out. I mean, the Packers are still holding out for that first rounder. And word has it that they can split the cap number, the $40 million, into two parts in June. So that's kind of why the Packers are kind of taking their time, with all of this. But here's my problem. If you're the Jets and that they could split it in June, so they're going to split it up, and that means they'll take a $20 million hit this year and another $20 million hit next year if they keep them. Well, if you're the Jets and this, don't you just wait for them to do that? And if they do want to split, that's $20 less million you're going to take.
Right. Although what you do miss is all the offseason workouts, right? I mean, when you get a new quarterback in, you get all the terminology. I realize they have his coordinator, so that maybe that won't be that big of a hurdle. But these guys need reps. He needs to throw passes to Garrett Wilson, right? He needs to find a place to live. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen. And I don't like cramming it in I don't like rushing somebody in at the end of a process. I like them to be involved in spring stuff. So I would hope it gets done around the draft, but who knows? These two teams are stubborn. I want to say, fine. the Jets. When have the Jets last really been relevant? Right? I mean, they haven't been to a Super Bowl since the time I've been alive. Super Bowl III predates me.
I would imagine when they went to those back-to-back AFC Championship games. I guess that's the most relevant in the Mark Sanchez years.
The Sanchez years, yes, the Rex Ryan years. Very good defense, and Sanchez. They kind of made the best of a mediocre quarterback.
Oh, they had a running game, they had a line, and they had a defense. If they would have had the quarterback, they could win a title. That team would have been able to win a title because they had all the other ingredients. They had a running game, they had a very good offensive line, and then they had a very good defense.
Yep. Again, much like this team, right? Where the 2 to 53 is great, but they didn't have the one piece at the front. And still one of the most shocking upsets I ever saw in 2010, which I thought was the best Patriots team that didn't make the Super Bowl. They had demolished the Jets on Monday Night Football 45-3. And then they played about 6 weeks later in the playoffs, and the Jets beat them very much the way the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. The interior rush with 4. They got under Brady's feet. It's like, wait a minute, these guys just played in November. It was 45-3. And it felt like it was 70-0. I mean, it was such a beatdown. But Rex Ryan, I don't think he was a long-term coach, but he was a good coach for them in the short term. And as you said, that was a very, very deep roster. That is the right answer, by the way. That is the last time the Jets were relevant. They get to the back-to-back AFC Championship games. And again, if they had solved quarterback, they also beat Peyton Manning in that mix too. They beat Brady and Manning in back-to-back seasons.
This sport is a bitch because you will get your window, and then
there you go. That's the whole point. That's the lesson. That's the lesson today.
The Brady thing is a complete freakish thing that happened.
No, you can't chase that. It's unrealistic to think you're ever going to find that. You're getting back to Barkley, whether it's Barkley, whether it's Jackson. We're talking about the Jets roster. You're right. That's the whole lesson here. Whether you're an NFL fan, you're a fantasy player, the window is shorter than you think. So, what's that line in Almost Famous? You got to take what you can, when you can, while you can, and you got to get it now. Okay, You're the New York Jets. You get a great roster. You get this quarterback thing solved now because you're not going to have these guys. What's going to happen? These guys, they're going to get better. Their contracts are going to expire. They're going to want to get paid. You're going to be, oh wow, well, there's this thing called the salary cap. We can't keep everybody because somebody else wants to overpay for all these guys. You just had the rookie of the year on both sides of the ball. You need to take it. You need to do it right now because there's no guarantee this team will be good in 2 or 3 years. It's just the way the NFL is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. All right, what do you got going on Yahoo, my friend, so folks can check you out?
A lot of fantasy baseball right now, and of course, the NFL draft is next week. So fantasy football will be open for business very soon. I'm actually working on my rankings right now, and we're chugging away with Matt Harmon on the Fantasy Football Forecast, our Yahoo podcast. He's talking to all sorts of people, both in-house, out-house, draft, free agency, all this roster stuff going on, the teams that are going to influence the draft. So we know the NFL is a 12-month sport. We hope you hang out with us at Yahoo Sports. And again, our fantasy game will be open very, very soon. Our engineers are working on it right now. So if you're eager to draft, you'll be able to do it pretty darn soon.
There you go. Good stuff as always. And follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski. Scotty, have a great weekend, my friend. We'll catch up next Friday. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Be good.
You got it.